The untouchable True School Sports Empire proudly presents something the boxing game's been missing. Hey, what's going on? It's your boy BC, and I came here to talk some boxing with the thousands of True School Sports subscribers. Now, this is the official post-fight review for Julio Casimero versus Rigondeaux. It was not a very fun fight, to be honest. It was a very lackluster fight, if you want to be perfectly honest. But while watching this lackluster fight, I was still scoring it, and I was watching it with a lot of intent. And it's just boxing. Like Jay-Z had a song back in the day called "Politics as Usual," and that's what this is. It's boxing politics as usual. They absolutely robbed Rigondeaux, and what they did tonight, it showed two things. It showed, number one, that boxing doesn't give a fuck or score fights on the actual scoring criteria of boxing. That's number one. And number two, it also showed that boxing will reward you even if you're an ineffective fighter, if you're an ineffective aggressive fighter. If the narratives are in line for the fighter being boring, like they are Rigondeaux, if you have someone like Sean Gibbons, who's very politically connected to the PBC, look, Sean Gibbons, I've never had a problem with him. I think he's a good manager, but let's be real. Sean Gibbons has a lot of influence and power with PBC. And I wasn't surprised that there was a really bad scorecard, because there's always usually a bad 117 and 111 scorecard in fights where there's a one fighter who is politically trying to be moved in a certain direction for fights against a fighter that's not politically connected at all in boxing, which is Rigondeaux. Nobody likes Rigondeaux as far as the movers and shakers of boxing. It's just sad. It's really sad, because another thing that this fight shows is that people don't keep that same energy when it comes to other defensive fighters. Like, for example, Shakur Stevenson, I like him, but let's be real. His last fight against the African cop guy was one of the worst fights and one of the worst performances and one of the most disgraceful performances of the whole year. But people praise him to no end and say he's this great defensive fighter and he has nothing to be ashamed of. But when it comes to Rigondeaux, there's no problems. There's no problems with No, when it comes to Rigondeaux, they say he's boring and he sucks and he runs around the ring. When Devin Haney struggles with Gamboa and doesn't not struggles, but when he doesn't look his best against Gamboa and he's not really putting a bunch of combinations together against a fighter he should be icing and destroying, people don't keep that same energy. Floyd Mayweather, I'm a fan of Floyd, but like there were many times in his career where people criticized, where people just sucked him off to no end, talking about how he's a boxing genius and all this. And then when people would say, oh, he's running around the ring in certain fights, they said, no, you just don't understand boxing. But they don't keep that same energy for Rigondeaux. And look, I'm not sitting here saying that Rigondeaux excited me or that I really had a great time watching the fight. I didn't. It was a lackluster fight. I expected just a little bit more from Rigondeaux. But to be honest, if you're being honest, let's establish something about boxing that people just don't seem to understand. Okay? Boxing is not about what you like. It's not. I like boxer punchers. I tend to like pressure fighters, aggressive fighters. But boxing is not about what you like. It's about what's effective. And what was effective for Casimero, that he fought the fight that worked for him, and the fight that he fought that was working for him was a fight where, in most cases against Casimero was missing. He was in many parts of this fight unable to explode, set his feet, and so to completely disregard the scoring, two of the three major scoring criteria of boxing, which are effective, which are ring generalship, basically meaning that you control the real estate in the areas in which the ring is fought, and defense, are just disgraceful. It's shambolic to the sport of boxing. And on top of that, you could even, I'm even going to say it like this, he swept Casimero on all three scoring criteria, including effective aggression, because even without the counting box numbers, it was clear to see that Rigondeaux landed about the same amount of punches as Casimero, or somewhere in the same neighborhood as Casimero, and he did it in a much more efficient and economical fashion. So people praise guys like Cholatito for that. They praise guys like Floyd for that, and Pacquiao and all these other great fighters. But when it comes to Rigondeaux, because it's not the most aesthetically pleasing, they don't want to give him that. They don't want to give him that same, they don't want to give him that same treatment. So I'm frustrated with boxing. Shenard Bunch getting robbed. Michael Fox getting robbed. Rigondeaux clearly getting robbed. This might be, look, y'all might think I'm crazy. I mean, this isn't as bad as Michael Fox, but it's right behind it. It's right there with the Shenard Bunch Figueroa fight because people are not scoring. You got to remove your emotions when you're scoring these fights. And to be honest, if we're keeping it all the way a buck, Rigondeaux had some beautiful moments in this fight. He would counter Casimero, slip right under. You know, he was the ultimate ring general in this fight. The ultimate ring general. And he didn't get awarded for it. And that's what it is, man. That's what it is. Rigondeaux had some tweets. He's already come out in the last 20 minutes with a series of tweets. I'll read them to you. He said the following. I quote: "Congratulations to the Filipino fans. You have a great champion. His name is Manny Pacquiao." So he's taking a day at Casimero. He then went on to say, I quote, "He won according to the judges. That is fine by me. Boxing has never been fair to me at the professional level. But he is no Pacquiao, and my chin is still on my head. I am not going to make excuses for anything. I was expecting a guy ready to blow my chin away and send me into retirement. But I'm not a picture on a bag. I can actually box, and I learned that before becoming a champ in Cuba." So, you know, really just pointing and clear-cut, concise words from, Guillermo Rigondeaux. You know, everybody talks about how he ran, right? They say he ran, but he landed around the same amount of punches, did it in a more effective fashion. And really, if you want to be honest, if you ask the question of which fighter actually hurt the other fighter more or was the closest to hurting the other fighter, it was Rigondeaux. Rigondeaux had the straight left hand, I think it was in the second round, that buzzed Casimero, and then he had the straight left hand at the beginning of the 12th. Both those punches were better and more effective than anything Casimero did, along with the fact that he was the better defensive fighter, along with the fact that he was the ultimate ring general, along with the fact that he was the more effective aggressor in that boxing ring. So I don't see how anybody can say that Casimero won this fight. You know, Terence Crawford don't agree with it. Brian Campbell of Showtime, he don't agree with it. He said that how do you reward ineffective aggression? And like, this just shows you, man, how flawed the boxing scoring is. But when I use scoring criteria, it's always different from Steve Farhood, because Steve Farhood's old ass is over there just he's just scoring off what he likes. And you can't do that. You cannot do that. Like, so, you know, it's unfortunate that Guillermo Rigondeaux again is on the wrong side of boxing politics. You know, the pro game has never been kind to him. But my thing is this: if people think he sucks so much and they think that he's boring, then how about you do what Julio Cesar did? That's why I got so much respect for Julio Cesar, because Julio Cesar brought out the best in Rigondeaux. He made Rigondeaux fight, and he created a very exciting Rigondeaux. But Rigondeaux wouldn't have landed those straight left hands if Julio Cesar, Rigondeaux would have never landed those punches if Julio Cesar didn't make him fight. So Julio Cesar showed his quality in that fight. Casimero didn't show his. He showed himself to be an explosive fighter, yes. A dangerous fighter, yes. But literally, he was ineffective. He was ineffective. It was one of the most ineffective performances of the year. Now, look, I know Rigondeaux doesn't do himself no favors. I know it's not aesthetically pleasing to the casual boxing fans, but when you're a judge, right, and you have that great responsibility and privilege of judging professional boxing, you really shouldn't be judging the fights or scoring them with the mindset of a fan. And I think, unfortunately, in boxing, we have that. And, you know, it's just ridiculous. It's ridiculous, man. I know it wasn't a good fight. I know it was trash as far as the action. We get all that, but if you want Rigondeaux to fight and give you fights like the Julio Cesar fight, then, you know, I think more people need to put more criticism on Casimero. And I like Casimero. I met him, a fantastic guy. You know, great, you know, fantastic fighter. I like him, and I wish him nothing but the best in his career. But he didn't win this fight, and Guillermo Rigondeaux just a victim of trash, just absolute trash, double standards going on here in boxing. How can anybody say that his offense is the problem when he landed the punches he needed to land to win the fight? Casimero didn't force Rigondeaux to do any more than he had to do, so he did what he had to do. When he fought, I go back to the Julio Cesar fight because everybody says when he fought Julio Cesar, it was such an exciting fight. Why can't that Rigondeaux show up more? And the reason that Rigondeaux can't show up more is because there's not enough fighters of that quality to make Rigondeaux not use the ring and neutralize his legs. So I'm gonna leave it at that. You know, I want to give a lot of respect and adoration to the great defensive boxer Rigondeaux. You know, the great George Foreman, one of my favorite boxers of all time. The great George Foreman once had a quote that applies directly to Guillermo Rigondeaux in this situation and his boxing career. George Foreman once wisely stated that, I quote, "Boxing is like jazz. The better you do it, the less they appreciate it." And that's the same with Rigondeaux. So you know, good fight, good display of the sweet science of boxing from Rigondeaux. Even if the world doesn't appreciate it, I appreciated it. And you know, Casimero, you didn't win. And you know, you can say he ran around the ring, but you only say that because you don't have the skills to cut the ring off. And if you had the skills to cut the ring off, you wouldn't be talking like that. So I'm gonna leave it at that. You guys can give me your thoughts down below, but those are my thoughts. I don't care how many dislikes or unsubscribers I get. That's my conviction tonight. And you know, it is what it is. But leave your comments down below. Make sure you guys take the time to subscribe. And like I say in every single one of these videos, you can love me or you can hate me, but I'm just Kid from Daniel. So until next time, take your ass.